Not everyone gets that privilege, though.
Yeah, that's true. I feel special. All right, we'll give people one more minute. I still people trickling in. I still see people trickling in. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm part of the team here at Movoto and Ojo. This is our July Pro Plus partner webinar. If you missed it at the beginning, I had to look to see what month it is because I've forgotten. It's 110 in Tucson for the first time yesterday. Now, for those of you that don't live in Arizona, you may have never seen this before, but yes, your iPhone can tell you it gets too hot and it just needs to cool off a little bit before you can use it. Don Vito, has that ever happened to you on the coast of California? Probably not.
Yes, it does all the time.
It does, really? Oh,
well,
wow. Okay.
it does.
It's because
Yeah, if you leave it on the dashboard of your car when
Exactly.
an hour, it will do that. But
I was going to say when you're burning down the lead generation calls, that's when it does that.
Yeah, keep the phone charged.
There you go. There you go. Cool. All right, we're over 100 people. We had almost 300 registered for today, so we're going to rock and roll. This is being recorded. So again, for those of you just joined, my name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm part of the team here at Movoto and Ojo. Sean, I see you were just in Gilbert. I'm sorry about that. It's so hot here. I don't know. Arizona's broken. I'm not sure why I'm here, but I'm here. So we're going to run you through the July Pro Plus Partner Webinar. We've got some really good stuff today. We're just to give you like a preview of what we're going to go over. We've got an awesome panel, two people that are having a lot of success with our program. I'm going to leave as much time in the last half of this for them as I can. We've got some info on creating your unique value proposition. We're going to give you more insights from some of our data. We're going to talk about role plays, scripts, objection handlers, some common things, and then we're going to share with you some tech stuff that we've been building. Sneak preview, we've been working on an agent application. I don't know how many times we've been asked, like, hey, where's this Movoto agent app? I have it on my phone. I'm testing it. You can't test it yet, but I'm testing it, and it's coming soon. So let me get started. I'm going to share my screen. Somebody give me a thumbs up when you can see that. I don't see any thumbs up because, okay, thank you, Mark Whalen, for giving me a thumbs up. I see you. Okay, cool. Rock and roll. Here we go. So this is a reminder. I know we've told you this a million times. We're going to keep telling you this because every week we are onboarding new people to Movoto, both new teams, but also like some of you, maybe this is your first partner webinar. So what I want you to understand, people go to our website. Millions of people, I think last month it was north of 20 million people went to our website. They clicked on a house that they liked. They saw information on the house and something compelled them to either click message agent, request information, or maybe they scrolled all the way down here and they tried to schedule a tour. Okay. After they did that, we run an algorithm that evaluates whether or not we think they're a good fit to match with one of our agents. If they are, we dial them immediately. We make millions of dials here at Movoto. We get these people on the phone. We ask them three very simple questions. Are you looking to buy or rent? If they say rent, we don't send them to you. I'm sorry, we said buy. And we ask them if they have a home to sell. Okay. And then number third, we ask them if they are in contract with or committed to an agent. Those are the three things we ask. And then we text you and we do our best to bring you on that line live. I will encourage you to remember, we're doing our very best tap dance to keep them engaged. We have extended the amount of time. We will try to do that to up to like 3 minutes now. But generally, like 30 to 90 seconds is the sweet spot. The faster you are on your trigger finger answering, saying, yes, I will take that, that live transfer, the more successful we're going to be at getting those live transfers to you, and the more successful you're going to be at taking the handoff. And then just a reminder on the back end of that, we have a concierge team that is calling that customer, asking, hey, how's it going? Are you is it a good match, whatever. And they're trying to reinforce you as the agent to help this person. The next time that they come back into one of our digital experiences, we ask them like, hey, how's it going with the agent we introduced you to? And all of that is so that when we get signal it's going well, we play that back to your team leader in terms of what we call your double commit rate. If the consumer says it's going well and you say you can help them, those double commits are a big win. If the consumer says it's not going well, we call them and we say, hey, what went wrong? Wow, Steve Don Vito is one of the best agents in our network. That's really unlike him to not call you back. Let me have Steve call you now. And then we text Steve. So we're always working on our side to reinforce you, reinforce your value prop. Now, this is where you got to do your part. And the best calls we hear have 5 key ingredients. Number one, they start with a big smile on their face and say, hey, my name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm a local real estate agent right here in Tucson, Arizona. Number 2, they immediately ask for the appointment. I see you inquired on the property at 123 Main Street. Would you like to go see that today at 2 or tomorrow at 4 would be better for you? Number 3, they set a hard appointment. Not, hey, we'll go see it this weekend, but Saturday, 3 p.m., this address, let's go, okay? Number 4, they always
Hey,
ask.
Jeremiah, hey, Jeremiah, before you go to number 4, I want to say something about the appointment. I listen to a lot of calls, right? You guys know that we record every introduction call, hundreds of thousands of them. Our team listens to thousands of them. I listen to several hundred of them, tons each week. When Jeremiah says a hard appointment, what that isn't is saying, okay, you want to see it on Friday? Great. Let me call the seller and see what's available or see what's going to work for them. No, a hard appointment is great. Friday, what's better for you? 11 or 2? 2 o'clock, perfect. I'm going to meet you at the property at 2 o'clock. Here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to send you my contact information when we get off the phone, and I'm going to call the seller to confirm that 2 o'clock works, and I'll call you back to let you know that everything's a go. If anything changes on your end, let me know. But for now, it's Friday at 2 o'clock.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That hard appointment is super critical because that's what changes the consumer's behavior. When you don't do that, they come back to the website, they keep clicking on properties, they keep submitting leads. And if they're doing that on our website, they're doing that on other websites. Okay. The 4th thing, Chris covered the 5th thing, which is the here's what will happen next. But the 4th thing is it's so important for you to understand what drew their attention to that property so that you give yourself a shot to go identify other properties that may be of interest to that consumer. Because remember, we are not pulling up the property on this initial call. We're simply setting an appointment, and then we're going to get back to them to confirm that appointment. I have yet to hear a call that goes like this. Hey, Chris, my name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm a local real estate agent here in Tucson. I see you're interested in seeing the property at 123 Main Street. When would work for you? Chris says, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I go, great, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. That'll work for me. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I just checked showing time, Broker Bay, whatever. Looks like that property sold. Tell me, what did you like about that property? And Chris goes, oh, it's sold? It's all right. Thanks for your time. Let me go look at the website. I'll submit another inquiry when I find another one. You are done. You are sunk. Don't do that to yourself. Ask them. That's a great property. What drew your attention to that property? Is there anything specific you like about that property? Now, what I'd love to do is get some information from you so I can go identify maybe 1 or 2 other properties that we could tour on Friday at 3 when I meet you at 123 Main Street. That's how you set yourself up for success so that when you call back and you say, hey, Chris, good news, bad news, right? You've got an alternate for them. All right, I'm gonna keep us moving. These are always like people's favorite. I'm gonna play a call. I will warn you, the voice is disguised, so you won't know who it is. It's an okay call. Actually, I don't want to give you more info. I'm gonna play it. Watch the scorecard. Tell me what you think.
Hi. Hi. Looks like you are interested in taking a tour of 48th to 26th Street in Des Moines. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When would you like to schedule this tour?
I was thinking evenings are best. Like, do you have anything? Well, you know what we could do, like next Monday night, Monday evening.
You're thinking the 15th?
Yes.
Okay, so the 15th, and you said after 6 p.m.?
Or 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Okay, perfect. 6:30. Okay, I will get that scheduled for Monday, the 15th at 6 or 6:30, whichever one they have available. I will also send you a text message with my confirmation information. And then I will also call you and let you know when this is approved and if they chose 6 or 6:30, just so that way you know. And I will get this scheduled for Monday the 15th, and I will give
All
you a
right.
call back here in a little bit when that gets approved.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. How'd they do? Type it in chat on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect call. You hired this agent based off that call because they were that good. 1 being, I don't know how that consumer stayed on that call. I would have hung up. All right, I see a 7. 7. 7. Okay, I'm seeing a trend here. 6s and 7s, 5s. I agree. It actually, look, Chris said he's listened to hundreds of calls. I've listened to hundreds of calls. This isn't bad. It's actually a decent call compared to a lot of people that are on these calls. A lot of them go far worse than this. The good news is the agent generally didn't get in her own way. If I was giving that agent some feedback, I would teach her the what's called embedded commands. Like when you are asking somebody, hey, do you want to go tour a property? If you say, hey, do you want to go tour a property? Versus, hey, when do you want to go tour a property? Very different outcome that you'll get from those two things. And just like sounding a little more certain would be great for that agent. The other is they forgot switch properties, right? What did you like about that house? What drew your information to it? If I could show you 1 or 2 other homes like that home, what would you ask me to go find for you? That is a key ingredient. Overall, look, the agent got the appointment. They got off the phone. That predicting the future a bit, that call likely turns into somebody who is probably an unpaid door opener. Unless they really make a great first impression at that showing. So just keep that in the back of your mind. You want to make it easy for them. You want to, make it easy to schedule, but you also need to like ask some questions to understand and provide a little bit of value. Heller, anything you'd add?
Yeah, one thing, the agent didn't do, and this is a common thread of all the calls I listen to, is the agent, you all don't identify yourself, and that you don't do it at the end of the call either. So a lot of times I'll hear agents come on and say, hey, this is Chris with the Home Seller Team. We're the local Movoto team, super experienced in this area. We are very excited to help you. I understand you want to see this property, 1, 2, 3, anywhere. So great. After the conversation you've set the appointment, you've asked them what caught their eye about that property and everything else. If you say, great, I'll text you my contact information or anything else. If for some reason you don't do that or they don't get it, they have no idea that they were talking to me. Like, unless I say again at the end of the call, again, my name is Chris Heller with the top sales team, blah, blah, blah. Super excited to meet with you. So make sure beginning of the call, end of the call, you tell them who they are, who you are, because they won't remember from the beginning of the call to the end of the call or after you hang up who they were just talking to.
Awesome. Great feedback. I'm going to keep us rolling. So let me go back. I need to share my screen again. Where'd it go? I want to give you a heads up. If you were on this last month, we talked about it. We talked about it the month before. We have done an agreement with Realtor.com. There's places in the country where like we have really good teams and really good coverage and they don't. And there's places in the country where they have really good teams and really good coverage and we don't. And we are doing some lead trades with them. If you get a lead from, and the source says Realtor.com, that is not a typo. We are trading with them. So know that that may be where they're coming from. And so we're going to call the person. We're going to say, hey, this is Jeremiah Taylor. We're calling on a recorded line. Got your inquiry off Realtor.com. My job is to get you connected with a local agent. Have a couple quick questions. We're going to ask them our 3 questions. So we're going to transfer you. The CR is going to say to you, hey, this is the lead. They're from Realtor.com. You'll see it in the text. So when you come on, you're going to want to start the conversation with, hey, this is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm a local agent right here in Tucson. I see you're interested in the property at 123 Main Street on Realtor.com. I'm here to help you. The goal here is just to like join the journey, make it seamless, do a good baton pass so that we all know what's going on. Pretty simple on that one. Next thing up, I want to talk about the touring agreement. August 17th is currently the date when we are expected across the country to see practice changes happening around buyers signing agreements, et cetera, before you start touring houses. We have been hard at work behind the scenes, building technology to have what we are calling a 7-day touring agreement. I know some of the other portals are doing a similar thing. For today, all you really need to know is that we are working on this and we are going to be educating consumers, letting them know what to expect. And then what will happen is we will actually email them just a non-binding 7-day touring agreement that says, hey, they don't owe you anything for showing houses, that if they decide to hire you, that's between you and them, and they'll need a separate agreement. But we believe that this will help meet the requirement of you getting something signed before you go meet them. And the goal of this is to eliminate the friction so that on that initial call and the handoff, you're not sitting there trying to trade, well, this is my commission rate. Will you pay me? Will you not? I need to DocuSign a thing. That conversation is going to be best had in person after you've had the ability to build rapport, meet them, etc. Chris, what would you add to this?
Yeah, like, this is, I think there's a single goal, and that is to remove any friction so that as agents, we have the opportunity to meet with the person and present our, as Jeremiah said, build trust and rapport, present our value proposition, and then ask for a commitment or a buyer rep agreement or a buyer broker agreement. We don't want you to try to have that conversation when we're making that introduction. That'd be like, setting you up on a blind date and you having a conversation about getting married. All right, you haven't even gone on the blind date yet. So we want you to have the first date, and then you have the conversation with them about what that relationship looks like.
Yeah, that's perfect. I see a couple questions in the chat. Laura, sorry, I missed your question on Realtor.com. We are managing the economics with Realtor.com. So any lead that we send you through our platform, it's going to be the same economics for your Pro Plus team. So it'll be part of your quota. You'll have the referral fee, the tail period, all that stuff is via Movoto. It's not going to change anything with the way that works. Cheryl asks, will that be signed ahead of time? Our approach is that we're going to make it easy for the customer to sign it, but we're not going to require them to sign it. So what that means is some customers are going to sign it. Those will get emailed to you. Some won't, and you can address it when you get to the property. We'll learn a lot more as we start actually like getting into this and doing it. But sometimes it'll be signed, sometimes it won't be signed. If you have more questions, drop them in here. But there's gonna be a lot more to come on this. We'll likely do like one-off trainings just on how this is gonna work so that you all are in the loop. This next one is an important one. We hear this a lot on calls, and actually I'm gonna skip a slide forward and I'll come back. A lot of times on the call, the call goes like this. It's like the customer, says whatever they say to our person, they deal with our person's questions, and then we bring you on the line. And so now you come on the line, you say, hey, I see you're looking to tour the property at 123 Main Street, blah, blah, blah. When's a good time? And they go, well, actually, I was curious. I wanted to know, XYZ about the house. And the agent goes, oh, okay, well, let me go look that up for you. And then the agent goes and they start looking it up. And then, that leads down this tangent that's like off the highway in a car crash. What you want to remember is that every phone call has a goal. And the goal of the initial phone call is to set an appointment. And there's a really important technique that most politicians have mastered, and it is called bridging. And so I'm going to drop my screen share and I'm going to teach you the bridging technique. How many of you, by show of hands, which by the way, there's these little reaction things down here and you can like clap, thumbs up, thumbs down. By show of hands, how many have ever watched a politician get asked a question and give a complete non-answer to that question? Something like this, like, hey, what's your stance on, blah, blah, blah. And the politician says, you know what? Or they say like, what's your stance on, taxes? And the politician says, you know what? I'm so glad you asked me about what my stance is on taxes. My Bridges and Roads program is going to create the best healthcare, right? And it's like, they don't even answer the question. They just go right to their agenda of what they want to talk about and what their talking point is. Have you ever heard a politician do that? Okay, I see a bunch of you giving thumbs up. That is called bridging. The reality is you don't have to answer the question the consumer is asking. You have to validate that they asked it. And so a lot of times the best way that I hear these calls handled sounds something like this. The person says, well, I had a question on that property. I wanted to know, XYZ about the HOA. And the agent goes, oh, wow, that's a great question about the HOA. I will look that up for you and I'll make sure that I get you that answer as the first thing we talk about when I meet you at the property. Does Friday at 3 work for you to meet? Then, okay, well, so what's your commission rate? What do you do different than other agents? Is that property in a floodplain? Wow, those are great questions. I will make sure that I have those answers ready for you so that when we meet Friday at 3, those will be the first things that we talk about. Trying to handle that stuff on that first call isn't going to get you where you want to go. The best agents, what they do is they say, that's a great question. I'll make sure I get the answer to that for you. And there's going to be times where the customer just says like, look, I want to know this before I'll meet with you. Okay, great. Well, let's set the appointment. I'll go get the answer for you. And then I'll call you back before we get together and we can talk about it, right? The whole key is, I don't care how good you are, how long you've been doing this, you are on your heels when you take this first call, and you don't want to be shooting from the hip trying to answer tough questions about properties, et cetera, without having time to go do the research. And so that's what we're trying to give you all with these techniques, is time to be able to go do the research. Heller, anything you would add to this?
Yeah, I think what Jeremiah is not saying is don't ever answer a question, but it may be a question about location or something off the top of your head. And naturally, you're going to say, that's a great question. Yes, it is in the school district, or yes, it is on that side of the tracks, or whatever the question was. But where we see calls go sideways a lot is when they start to drag on, and what is normally like ideally a 2 or 3 minute call turns into a 9 or 10 or 12-minute call, and you can hear the excitement and enthusiasm just go down with each minute. The likelihood of something happening, you can hear it just decreasing. As Jeremiah said, the goal is get face to face, right? Besides listening to all the calls, we get to see what happens with these consumers. And without a doubt, and we have hard data that shows it, that the highest conversion rates are on the leads where a appointment is set on that initial call and set very quickly. So, as agents, a lot of times we like to think, well, we can, qualify and we can tell if they're real or not, or judge a book by its cover. And I can tell you all that you can't. And I know that because we get to see the data on who transacts and who doesn't. And the amount of consumers who end up buying or listing their home without the agent we introduced them to because the agent didn't set an appointment with them, or made a decision that they didn't think they could help them, is staggering. And it would make you all sick if you saw how many were being missed on. So as Jeremiah said, just set the appointment. You'll have plenty of time once you build trust rapport to ask and answer all the questions you need to.
And here's the data. If you meet them in person within the first 14 days, those interactions have an almost 8% conversion rate across all the millions of those. If you don't meet them in person in the first 14 days, those transactions have about a 1.5% conversion rate. The in-person meeting is the thing. Like in the past, we used to tell you, you'd be 3 times more successful if you meet them in the first 10 days. It's not 3 times, it's 5 to 7 times more successful. It is the single most important thing you can do, is to get in front of that person. Now, no, most of these people aren't going to buy immediately. You're going to have to nurture them, but getting that in-person meeting, to Chris's point, is key. I want to talk about one last thing, and then I want to get to our panel. This is the thing I'm hearing more and more. The closer we get to, practice changes, the more people are understanding it. I'm hearing more questions about like, so what makes you different as an agent? If I have to pay you out of my own pocket, why would I pay you? When somebody asks me that question, this is my answer. I've been in real estate for 24 years. I've sold 2,000 plus homes. I've personally invested in more than 250 homes. You're not going to find another human in this city with more experience than I have. And if experience isn't the most important thing to you, help me understand what is, and I can help tell you if I'm a good fit for that. The key here is having something to say. Now, I've talked to a lot of agents. At one point in my career, I ran a brokerage with 650 agents. And I know a lot of times agents get stuck and they're like, well, maybe I'm new, or maybe I haven't sold 2,000 homes and I don't know what to do. I want to give you guys a trick. There's this new piece of technology and it's called ChatGPT. And if you go to it and you say, I'm a real estate agent and I need some help writing my unique value proposition, and let's just pretend I've been in car sales all my life. I've been in car sales, sorry, all my life, typos and all. I've helped hundreds of people buy cars, but I've only sold about 10 houses. What could I tell someone to help them know I'm different? Guess what? ChatGPT is going to write your unique value proposition. It's going to help you do this. Look at, it's this simple. Like, in today's world, there is no reason that you should not know what your unique value proposition is. Go in here, look at this. Powerful proven negotiation skills, my client-centered approach, my relocation expertise. This is all it is. It's just too easy in this world with generative AI to not have this stuff at your fingertips. Take this, draft off it, come up with it. So that was my real ChatGPT, how to use it, which is typos and all. It does the work for you. It's very easy. It is not scary. That's the free version. Just go type it in there and it will help you. But most importantly, make sure that when somebody says, what makes you different from other agents, or why would I hire you? I heard one the other day, it was like, look, I'm an attorney. Yes, I'm a first-time home buyer, but like, I can look at properties. Most of the agents I've talked to and they've tried to woo me, like they're sending me properties that I've already seen. Like, why do I need to pay them tens of thousands of dollars to go unlock the door for me? That's really common. That's how a lot of people feel. And if you don't know the answer to that, go figure it out before you get asked that question in real time by a consumer. This is your sign to go figure that out. Okay, I want to get to our panel. Before I do that, I want to celebrate Mr. Quayle. Like, he just continues to be at the top of the leaderboard at a 7.8% in contract conversion rate. Hughes Charlie is up to 7.5. Misty Soldrich is at 6.3. Josh Hutchinson at 5.3, and the Ford Group at Real for 4.7%. So congratulations to these teams on their success in June. This is tremendous. Mike, I am excited to keep seeing you at the top of the leaderboard, man. You're doing a great job. I love how consistent you are in converting leads. So keep that going. I want to jump to our panel. So Jenna, if you can grab Meredith and Kristen, we're gonna do a short panel with these two, and I've got bios for both of you. So let me stop sharing so that you can see these ladies. And so I see Meredith, and then I see Kristen. And so cool. So Meredith is at the top of my screen, so I'll introduce you first. Meredith Stewart is the team lead for the Bustle Real Estate team at Murney Associates in Springfield, Missouri, and a native of the Ozarks. Her team was recently recognized as one of the top 5 producing small teams in Missouri by Real Producers. Y'all specialize in new construction, luxury listings, and farm properties, I understand. Thank you for doing this. Welcome. And then Kristen is the team lead for the Silver Cells in Brevard. Is it Brevard or Broward County? Brevard County, Florida. Right? Okay, I got it. For new construction, relocation, and 55 and up communities, Kristen remains committed to helping individuals and families find their dream homes and investment properties, making a lasting impact on the world of real estate. So I love it. I appreciate the two of you coming on and sharing your knowledge and expertise with the agents here on the call today. So thanks both of you. Jenna gave me a bunch of notes on what you guys talked about on the call. And I think the thing that I took away from both of them is that the two of you are just super resourceful, and you have this mindset that enables you to win with not just like Movoto leads, but internet leads as a whole. And I want to start here because if you don't get the mindset part right, it's really tough to get everything else right in this business or in any business. And so starting with Meredith, like, just share a little bit about like, what do you do? Like, what is your mindset around internet leads as a whole? And then like, what do you do, when you find yourself off track to get back on track?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I actually was previously on a large team, and that's kind of how I was introduced to Movoto. And then I started my own team about 1.5 years ago. And so we had on a lot of new agents, and I kind of thought that their initial idea about leads online were not super positive because they didn't understand that it takes a lot of follow-up. And I think that you said, being resourceful, that's really something that we've implemented. And so we use our CRM with our brokerage. And that's one thing that really helps us with nurturing. It kind of does those mundane tasks for you. So setting them up on an automated monthly market report, showing that you are the market expert, are any of the other agents that, they were introduced to doing that, showing what were the homes sold, what's the interest rate, and then holiday mailers, kind of things like that. Happy 4th of July. That was just sent out to everybody in my, Movoto database that I put into my CRM. And so it's kind of doing those mundane tasks for you. And I think that has really helped us with long-time nurture and just staying top of mind, most definitely.
So key number one is get everybody in the CRM. And then key number two that I heard you say is just as simple as like following up and doing what you say you're going to do.
Yes. And I think that, a lot of the agents, whenever we very first started this program, they would maybe give up on the leads too soon. And, one thing that we've really tried to implement is not doing that. I've tried to tell them and I think that they're, really starting to understand this, and we've seen our numbers greatly improve, is that the leads, it's crazy, leads that we were introduced to a year ago, they're not ready to transact until a year later. And then we're getting them under contract. And so it's really just, teaching them be persistent. And one really great thing that my business coach taught me is that I think that he said it was an 11-week period that a home buyer is really, in the market to buy a home. And if you are following up, say for 6 months, but you're not in their inbox within that 11-week period, they're going to go to the person that's the most convenient to them. And so even if you don't think that you're, getting a response right away, always be top of mind. And so that's, I've taken that and ran with it, and it's really worked for us.
Love it. I love it. Kristen, how about you? Like, what's your mindset about internet leads, and how do you manage that?
I think a lot of people, especially new agents, tend to want to jump in and just go sell a house. And they think, oh, this person is on here, so they must be ready to buy. And in most cases, like Meredith said, it's not the case. They need time nurturing. And as long as you're showing them that importance, we do the same thing. We put them into our custom CRM as well as a CRM that we have with our brokerage. And they get those emails, but they also get custom emails from us. Hey, how are things going? We always try to find out something personal about each client when we talk to them, what's going on in their life, just so that we can follow up with that and build that rapport, showing them that we actually care. Because as we all know with internet leads, someone's not just coming to, Movoto.com. They're going to other sites. And you had said that earlier. And so that lead is not just in your inbox, it's going to several others. So you have to stand out, making sure that they know that you care about them. And it's not just like everyone else, hey, I'm going to send you MLS listings. We just started our team recently, and we've noticed a huge difference whenever we are following up and making sure that they're not just in drip campaigns, but they have that personal touch.
Yeah, that's, one of the things I've always said is you can't automate relationships. And so agents, often there's a difference between delegation and abdication. Abdication is I put them on a drip campaign, they will call me when they're ready, right? That is abdication. You are not doing your job. Delegation is, hey, I put them on a drip campaign, so in the weeks between my calls and outreaches, they're still getting something from me. And I think that's what you're both saying, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes, I was also going to add to that. I think that one other thing that we've really seen success from is adding detailed notes after your client calls, because like she said, it's, a good touch point whenever you do make that phone call to them, like, hey, I know you mentioned your mom's in the hospital and, how's everything going? And then they're like, oh, she remembered that about me. And, you might not actually remember it, but you saw it from your notes. So leaving those detailed notes and making that personal connection with them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, the notes are one of the most fantastic tools that are out there. I'm going to stay on mindset for a minute, because it's really interesting. I had a conversation with an agent the other day, and the agent said, he goes, this isn't working for me. And I said, well, okay, help me understand, like, what's not working? He goes, well, I keep getting these people, and they're not serious. I show them a house and then they don't want to buy it. And like, it's just not working. And so, from now on, I'm only going to work with people that sign a buyer broker with me because I don't want to waste my time. Like, I value my family too much. And he kind of went on. And I was like, and I said, okay, that's really interesting. In my internal dialogue around that was like, I'm not sure how that's going to work for you, because this, and I doubt you can like actually read this, is the way the world works. And both of you are putting this to work for you, not against you. And so the B is whatever you believe, right? Whatever you believe to be true is true. And what you believe to be true affects the way that you think about things. So if you believe that people are going to waste my time and that internet leads aren't serious and that they're tire kickers, then you think that way. You don't feel good when you're helping them. And so when you don't feel good when you're helping them, your actions treat people like they're tire kickers. Like, well, hey, look, if you're not serious enough to sign an agreement with me, I'm not serious enough to go show you houses. And so guess what? Your results, they aren't great. And so it just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of like, these aren't good leads. I don't think they're going to buy anything. I don't feel good spending my time helping them. So I treat them like I don't feel good spending my time helping them. And guess what? They don't buy houses. And it just reinforces my belief that they do. And I think for both of you, what I'm noticing is you have this belief that like, no, these are good customers. These are real people that need my help that I've got to stay with for a long time. So I think of systems that if I stay with them and stay on top of them and create an experience for them, that I can feel good about helping them. But you treat them in a way that feels like you're feeling good and you're trying to help them. And guess what? You get the results that they work with you and they buy houses, which reinforces your belief that these are good leads, that I can help them if I treat them the right way. And it's really interesting. And that's why I'm starting off the top with mindset, because unless y'all on this call have checked that box in the way that both of these ladies and their teams have, your chance for success is very low. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about like the agents on your team. And I know both of you do regular team meetings. Like, it's one thing for the leader of the team, right? For you to have the mindset and be there and doing it. How do you cascade that to the agents on your team and help them stay in the right place?
I'll start. So my team is a little bit smaller than most. It's my daughter and one other agent. So we are a smaller team right now. But I always tell them that you can only expect to get what you put in. So if you're not going to put in the work, then don't waste my time of setting things up for us to be successful. So I just always, make sure that we're setting goals and really finding out too what their goals are, because my goals are not the same as either one of my agents. And for me, knowing what those goals are so that I can push them in that direction and show them how each one of their activities throughout the day leads to that success and eventually meeting that goal.
Yeah. So playing that back, it starts with understanding what they want, because what they want is way more important than what you want, right? And then your job as the leader is to keep nudging them in the direction of what they said they wanted, right? Got it. Meredith, how about you?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. So we do weekly team meetings, but I also have, my biweekly call with our Movoto rep. And so he goes over our numbers with us and just tells me like, hey, this is where we have room for improvement, or this agent's been killing it. They've been picking up all of the calls. And so what I do after I get that call is I actually had mine this morning at 9 a.m. I will go to each team member individually and I'll say, hey, this is what your numbers look like. This is where we need you to be, or, hey, you're doing a great job, keep it up. And so really making that a priority and, doing it one-on-one with the agents. Another thing that I like to implement on our team is it's called a daily prescription for success. And at the beginning of each quarter, I say, what does your prescription for success for each day look like? Does that look like you get up at 6 a.m., you're working out by 7 a.m., and then you're logged into your email and your CRM by 8 a.m.? What does it look like? And then also just time blocking. You need to, if you don't put time blocking for doing lead follow-up, it's not going to happen. I have been there, I've done that. And so if you treat it like it's a listing appointment and you have to be there for it, you're going to do it. And that's really, I think that, creating that and putting that into our daily prescription for success has really related to good success for our team on the program.
Yeah, I love that.
I definitely agree too. Sorry about the time blocking. That is super important.
Well, in the thing I've heard both of you talk about is your CRMs and the way that you use them. Now, it's funny because one of the things we hear a lot from agents, and I'm sure some of you have heard this, is your success manager will call you and be like, hey, your agents on your team aren't updating the dashboard. Like they're not letting us know what's happening. The most common thing I hear from the team leader is like, well, that's because they're using our CRM and, you know, we don't want them to double enter. And so it was like a month and a half ago, I think. I was like, you know what? That's interesting. I would love to see what's in your CRM, and maybe we'll build a piece of technology to connect the two so they don't have to double enter. Can you give me a seat on your CRM? And I'll check it out and I'll see what I can learn. Well, what do you know? What I found is like our tool was actually more up to date than the agent's CRM, and they just weren't updating either, which means they weren't working the leads either way. Mystery solved. Now we know why you're not having success with the program. So having a CRM is one part of the battle. Using it and managing the agents and encouraging them and making sure they're using it. How do you all solve that problem? Which one of you feels like you really solve that problem well?
Oof. Well, for me, so I was actually talking to my Movoto rep today, but one thing about us is we're in the Midwest. Like there are not a lot of the programs that you guys probably have on the coastal markets for, you know, lead systems. They're just not super prominent in our area. So if you are a team that has lead systems, you're one of the good ones. Like, so agents are really wanting to be on our team. And it's an incentive. You know, we say, don't build your entire business off of online leads. Of course not. You're not going to have great success in real estate if you do that, but use this as supplemental income. And I feel like our agents have just taken that, you know, and ran with it. And we set metrics like you have to have your numbers at this. And if you're not there, I'm sorry, but you're going to be taken out of the program, because we have a ton of interviews for agents that know we provide leads for the team. And if you're not going to do what you need to do, then sorry, you're out of it. So.
Love that. I love that. So you're using, you know, a high powered system. Do you mind sharing what CRM you're using?
So it's actually we have a really great tech team at our brokerage. So it's actually just a personal tailored CRM to our brokerage.
Cool.
It's Marnie Thrive Reliance. I'm sure you guys have never heard of it because it's personally tailored to us, but we've previously used KV Core and Sierra, and it does have a lot of those similar features as those two, but I really like this one that we've got. So
that's great. Kristen, I know that I already know the answer, but I want you to say it out loud. What CRM do you use?
So we do use KV Core, but we also have our own. And we actually have meetings. And I know it's crazy, but we actually have meetings twice a week, and we go over all of our active clients. Anyone who has been on the phone with us and actually spoken to us is an active client for us. And so even if it's a year out, we still go over any updates that need to be done. And I make sure that I go through the CRMs to make sure that they are updated, because when I first started, no one told me that I needed to follow up as much as I do. And I've only been in for a short time, but once I figured out that, you know, the finances and the follow-up, as they say, that I've closed so many more deals. So I make sure that we stay up and just stay in touch.
And when you say you built your own CRM, what you mean is Google Sheets, right?
Yes. And it wasn't I do not take credit. It was definitely Mia, who is my daughter and my co-agent on a lot of our deals. It's amazing.
I say that in particular because what's funny is we do these trainings all the time. We have agents and they're like waiting to hear like, what does somebody use? And then they hear it and they're like, oh, okay, I got to sign up for that. That's going to solve my problems. Got news. It ain't going to solve your problems. It doesn't matter what the system is. It's the system that you will use. And I think that's what you're both demonstrating is you've got a broker provided system that you like, that y'all are using. You've got Google Sheets that y'all like that you're using. And the key there is, as the leaders of the team, it's not like, hey, agent, are you using the CRM? Yes, leader, I'm using it. It's let's get in there together. Let's look at the notes. Let's make sure these clients have reminders. Let's see what's happening. And that inspecting what you expect is key. And I'm curious, when you're doing that with your team, do they ever feel like it's like an interrogation and you're policing them, or do you feel like you're there to help?
So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So for me, no, because we do it as a teamwork. Hey, have you talked to this person yet? I don't want to interrogate them. I just want to make them better. And I also am willing to take suggestions from them. So, hey, have you followed up with this person yet? No, I forgot. Let me get that done. And time blocking has helped that as well. But, us all being accountable to somebody is important.
Love it. Meredith, what were we gonna add?
I was just gonna, actually, really what she said is just, yeah, time blocking and, yep.
Now, Meredith, I heard you figured out a way to make lead generation fun. So like tell us about the Smile and Dial.
Oh my gosh. So I actually learned this from the old brokerage that I started on. And basically they kind of did it differently, but Smile and Dial is a way that makes cold calling not so intimidating or boring or desolate. One thing that I've come to learn with working with a lot of new agents is that is their biggest fear, is rejection and like, oh my gosh, well, what's going to happen if I call them and they don't want to talk to me, or, they hang up on me or something. And so what we actually did is whenever we very first got into the Movoto program, I had started realizing a trend of our agents would call somebody, but if they didn't get a call back after, the first couple of times, they would release the lead. And it's like, no, that's not the way to do it. So we had kind of a long list of inactive leads. And what we did is I hosted a pool party at my house. We ordered in some pizza and I took an export of the leads list that were inactive and I divided it up. We had 8 agents on the team at the time. And so let's say it translates to 5 leads per agent that were inactive. And throughout the day, they would be eating pizza and somebody would go inside, take a call and, get that person back on the phone and say, hey, 6 months ago, you weren't ready to purchase, but are you ready now? And they'd be like, actually, yes, you called at the perfect time. And then, it'd just be so funny. We'd all be out the pool and they'd come back and I got somebody, that's ready to be restored in the program. And so it's we just call it Smile and Dial because, make it a happy thing. Don't make it so you're sitting in your office all alone, afraid of rejection. Make it we're doing this as a team. Let's make it a fun event. And hey, that day I think we restored 7 or 8 leads, which out of people who told you they were never going to buy, that's great, So definitely something that we want to do and follow up with again, probably in the next few months.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, making it fun is always a winner. Now, Kristen, I heard a story that you had a client and their phone was disconnected, and for some reason you just kept calling them anyways. And then eventually, you called one day and they answered, and it was like, "Hey, you paid your phone bill. That's great. Now you can take my call." Is that a real thing? Did that actually happen?
It did. Yes. I'm not one that gives up easily. I actually would like them just to tell me if they're not interested, they're going to have to tell me to take them off, which most people won't do. But yeah, her phone was disconnected or turned off for some reason, was not accepting calls. And I kept trying and all of a sudden it started ringing and she answered. I was kind of thrown off. It took me a second to gather myself and because I didn't expect it, but yes. And I ended up showing her a property. She's a nurturer, but still it's someone that I was able to connect with.
That's great. I love that. I love that. Now, Kristen, for you, I know that what you told us that you've used buyer broker agreements all along, and you believe that helps curate professionalism and just is the right thing to do. So you get a call from us, you guys take it, you set that initial appointment. When are you talking to them about the buyer broker, and how do you how do you say, this is this form I need you to sign, that this is how I get paid? Give us your script for that.
So the buyer broker agreement was really weird for me. When I lived in Kansas, my uncle is a broker and has been my whole life. And my sister-in-law both made me sign a buyer broker agreement to show me houses. And this was years ago. So for me, it's always been just something that was done. So when I moved to Florida and people weren't doing it, I was like, this is so awkward and weird. That you guys are willing to give your time and not have that commitment. But I just explained to them, and it's typically on the first or second meeting, depending on how it goes. And just explain to them, this is our, this is our normal protocol. This is what we ask you guys to do. And I just tell them, because a lot of people know about what's going on online, and I just tell them it's something we've always done. It shows you that I'm different. And these are the things that we are willing to do for you, but in turn, we need you to be committed to us as well.
Yeah, pretty easy. Meredith, anything you'd add about buyer brokers?
I would just say that in Missouri, typically, we don't have a buyer's broker signed right off the bat. We are always told, set the appointment and then, establish that trust and build rapport with them, maybe over a couple of days of showing houses. However, with the change that's coming, our brokers, at least in this area, I don't know if that's allowed nationwide, but they have told us that, NAR with the settlement, going into place, it's kind of pushing the relationship of, we don't get those couple of days to build trust and rapport with them. We're just like, hey, you got to sign this and this is how I'm getting paid. And so what they have implemented is doing a short-term buyer agency. Maybe it's even for just a weekend saying, we do have to have this form signed going forward, but we don't have to make it a 3-month or a 6-month long commitment. We can do it for a weekend as a trial run, make sure that it's mutually beneficial and that it's going to be a good working relationship. And hey, if we like each other and we want to continue this relationship, then we can extend it and actually, continue on the relationship. So that way you're not locking them in right off the bat to a 3-month or 6-month, relationship. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, look, across the country, there's going to be different rules in different places. Work with your brokers, work with your legal teams. I was like Kristen, that when I started doing this, I thought buyer brokers were normal. And so I had a really simple script. I would be talking to the customer, and let's say I just showed Meredith the house and say, so Meredith, I'm excited to work with you. I feel pretty good. I feel like I could help you. Do you feel like I'm the right agent to help you? And you would naturally say, yes. And then, all right. And then I would say, great, well, here's how you hire me. And then I would just go over the buyer broker with them and say, this just says I'm going to represent you. This is how much I get paid. This is how I get paid. Do you have any questions? Great, sign here. Super simple, not hard. Here's how you hire me. Do you feel like I can help you? These aren't like crazy scripts that come from the ether. These are normal conversations that humans have. And it's, it's funny because I've been interviewed by several media outlets about like, how is the real estate world going to change? I'm like, for most agents that like know what they're doing, it ain't changing much. I think for the agents that have not been clear on how to articulate their value proposition, they may get a little tripped up asking for somebody to pay them, but you're either going to learn or you're not. So I think it's a good opportunity for all of us to level up, to get comfortable with those conversations and to practice some scripts. As we come into our last kind of 5 minutes together here, if anybody has questions on the call for either of these ladies about how you do things, how things are working, what they're doing, throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to ask them. I should ask for that earlier. I'm sorry, Jenna, I didn't follow your outline perfectly. But I would love to get from each of you kind of like a parting thought of like, if somebody's on here and they are, they're listening to you, they're out there in the world trying to deal with everything we're dealing with interest rates and practice changes and everything else, what would you tell them and what would you encourage them to focus on?
I think that the biggest things that have really just, proven to give repeat business or referral business for me is always having integrity. I think that's just so important in this industry. And honestly, the whole reason why we are having a settlement is because people were not clearly communicating or really having integrity about contracts, but clear communication, integrity. And then one little tip that my business coach told me when I got into real estate 3.5 years ago, and I have done this and I've just seen how it's really expanded my business, is on closing day, ask, are you guys moving today? And usually you'll know their moving plans, but just say, okay, do you have dinner taken care of? And that's when they'll probably say no. That's usually the last thing that's on their mind. And that's when you show up at the house, you bring pizzas, plates, a cooler full of sodas, and guess who's at the house while they're moving? Family and friends. And you're the realtor that didn't forget about them after the closing day. You came, after the closing day and you were there. And guess what? Everybody wants your business card then. So that's one tip that's really gotten me a lot of more business. So.
Love that. Love that. Thanks for sharing that. Kristen.
I agree 100%. Being authentic as well just really goes into that, but being actually caring about your clients in general. So I think that if you care about the client, even from the very beginning and really want what's best for them, it makes your job so much easier because they will see how genuine you are with them and that it's not just about the check. It's not about the commission. It's not about those things. Yes, those are a perk of our job, but actually helping them find their home or sell their home is our job. And so I've really pushed that here in the last several months. And I do the same thing. We show up, we help people move, we are involved, we make sure that they have stuff afterwards. And we make sure we're doing Popeyes too to get those referrals.
Wait, did you say Popeye is like the amazing spicy fried chicken, or Pop buys like you go by and you visit them?
Popeyes.
Okay, I got excited. I
So
got excited. I was
funny
like, I have an
story.
excuse to go to Popeyes.
I actually said that same thing the other day to someone else, and they thought that I said Popeyes too. So I guess I need to make sure I'm pronouncing that clear.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think like authenticity is massively underrated in today's world. And I think if you talk to these people that have significant social media followings, or any amount of relevance on the internet, they aren't the people that are doing the like, hi, look at me type videos. They're the people that they stand in front of the camera and they're like, hey, this is what's going on with my life. They're having fun. They're enthusiastic about what they do. And so I think you'll hear me and our team push a lot on like, practice your scripts, think about what you're going to say before you say it, be authentic. And the two of you, like, there's nobody that listened to this call that's going to say y'all are inauthentic. Like, you're just here, you're hanging out, you're having a conversation. And a lot of times that's all real estate is, right? So thank you both for doing what you're doing. Look at what the comment you just got. As a new agent, I found this webinar very insightful. Thank you very much to everybody involved. So I think that is a perfect segue into, if you're on this webinar, find the reaction button and give a heart. You can give rockets. I give rockets, claps, thumbs up, whatever. Just as some love to these two ladies for coming on and spending their time doing this.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having
Look at
us.
all that.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Well, thank you both for doing this. We appreciate all of you. I will end us with just a parting thought of like, hey, look, the world's a little crazy out there for real estate right now. You have to be the voice of sanity. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody where they were like, how are you doing? They were genuinely calling me worried. And I was like, oh man, I'm great. Like, I just saw an interest rate lock for 5 3/4% on an FHA with a 1% origination fee. Interest rates are getting better. Home demand is picking up a little bit. Prices are higher than they've ever been. And all my competition is scared. I couldn't be better. And if that's your mindset, you will win. You will be in a good place. And it will set you up for success. So do what you got to do to protect your bubble. Thank you again, Meredith and Kristen, for spending your time with us. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. And we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.